foreign language link building, or rather non-English language link building. Now, I've said before that non-English language geos are an absolute goldmine for SEO, because Google can't possibly apply its latest updates and algorithms to every single language that it indexes. And so because of that, what we tend to find is that non-English language speaking geos tend to behave very differently. So they tend to be much more lenient. They're much older algorithms where you don't have to be using the latest, greatest tactics in order to rank. And then you also have the human element as well, where most people who get into SEO immediately start targeting the US as the biggest market, trying to rank for general products in the US and product reviews. Whereas you think of all the different countries in Eastern Europe where they still use Google and they still have needs for certain products. So I've seen some absolutely incredible case studies of really small websites, low DR, absolutely blowing up in these particular niches. So while everyone's fear-mongering about English language results in the US, where we're talking about recent Google updates, affiliates getting hammered, what if all this is going to be affected by generative search? We've already got very big changes to the search results where even on local searches now, we've got sponsored local listings above sponsored organic listings, and then the map pack, and then organic websites. So all these challenges we're facing in English language geos, as soon as you start looking outside English, it all disappears. Not forgetting a lot of these geos are also different behaviorally as well. So for instance, in Germany for a long time has still been very cash-based, and it's only really recently it's starting to pick up on buying online, e-commerce, and digital payments generally. So again, lots of new opportunities which probably weren't there 10 years ago. Now, we also have all the AI content now, which means it's really easy to write content in any language you like. ChatGPT does struggle a lot with foreign languages, but at least as a testing ground, it's a lot easier now than it was before, where you'd have to recruit a writer in that language if you didn't know the language yourself. And even then, it's very difficult to assess the quality of that writer as well. So very difficult operation 2 years ago. Now, much easier. You can at the very least test out these other geos with AI content before getting a native writer to then improve that content. But what happens with link building? So of course, you still need to do link building in these geos. They might be lower competition, but there is still competition. If you want to rank for goldmine niches like cannabis, lawyers, doctors, dentists, then the chances are you still need a lot of backlinks. Now, the basic methodology remains the same, but with a few nuances. So whatever your niche is, the chances are, again, Google's not a vacuum. The chances are you just want to acquire as many of your competitors' backlinks as you can. If they got them, why can't you get them? So for a start, search your main keywords and start compiling a list of your competitors in those languages, in those geos. And you can basically just scrape a list of all their referring domains. You'll probably want to filter it a bit for quality, make sure they're still good links rather than just book sites and things like that. But step one is the same as normal. You want to compile this huge list of potential prospects. Next, we follow our standard hunter process where you just want to reach out to all of those links. But the crucial difference here is in the outreach email. So you can see now this campaign we've been running for a few weeks, lots of emails sent, lots of opens, and a decent number of replies, around 10-20%. So that's pretty good going. Now, I've spoken a lot about this in my link building tutorials before. People talk about how to craft the perfect pitch email and get magic-free backlink. That's very unlikely to happen. Even if you craft the very best pitch email, the chances are they're still going to come back and ask for cash. So my approach has always been cut out the BS. How can we save everyone time here? And we just go direct. We don't talk about our clients or anything like that. We don't even outrightly talk about paying for a link. We simply state our desires. We would like a link, preferably either in your existing content or to give you a post to publish. How can we make this work? Is there an admin fee? How does it work? What would you like? And that just opens up the conversation, because it might well be they want to do something like a link swap. They don't want to do paid link building, but they're happy to exchange links. We can do that as well. So that was a French version. Here I can give you the Czech version we're also using. And again, very straightforward. I would like a relevant link in your existing content. We do talk about the types of sites we're working with, because of course everyone gets paranoid about adult links, cannabis links, and we do build those kinds of links. But generally, if you want to try and speed the conversation along and build a dialogue, we basically want to say we're not doing anything shady here. We just want straightforward link, mainstream site. What's the deal here? And like I say, put that standard template into the language you're actually reaching out to. Because if you imagine it's difficult enough when you're getting these outreach requests asking you for links. But as soon as you have that in a foreign language, you're not going to go away and Google Translate that. You get an instant red flag that this is something spammy and you're not interested. So we want to make it as easy as possible, put it in their language. You can put English underneath as well, should you wish. And we just want to open up this mutually beneficial contribution. Now, what's the next steps? You've reached out to people and you're starting to get some responses back. Of course, it comes down to quality screening, and a lot of screening checks I talk about generally still apply in these other geos. It's not difficult to go into the backlink profile, even if you don't speak the language, and work out, is this a load of spammy backlinks, or have they got genuine mentions in proper editorial articles? Is the homepage full of PBN links to every casino and escort site going? How relevant is the traffic? What does the outbound link profile look like? Is it linking out to anyone and everyone, or a more select group? Now, some of the issues you'll come across here. Firstly, we've got smaller metrics. If you're going after these smaller economies, then generally it's all representative of the ecosystem. So we talk about the US SEO market being very crowded, very competitive, and so yes, it's great to go to a less competitive market, but equally that means the whole landscape is smaller. So a lot of your competitors, their links won't come from particularly high DR sites and not that many of them. So this is both a blessing and a curse. You may well find you don't need as many links, and you don't need those links to be as high metrics. On the other hand, the problem you'll probably find is there simply aren't that many sites out there with the right metrics. So we generally talk about minimum DR of 30. That doesn't really apply to non-English language link building because there just aren't that many links that are that powerful in these kinds of markets. If you look at most search results in Eastern Europe, even Germany, France, there'll be some high DR sites on there, but generally the average DR is much lower. So you're going to find much fewer links that are more than DR 30, still with all the same quality metrics and not manipulating that in any way, and still have high traffic numbers. So of course you still want to go for the best quality you can, but generally you can stress a little less about the metrics and focus more on just the overall quality. Don't forget there's loads of people operating in these niches who say for non-English language geos, all you need to do is go on to Fiverr and get a DR inflation gig. You can use expired domain redirects, you can use GSA, automated spammy links, and a lot of that still works in these kinds of geos. I don't really recommend doing that for a true money site you want to rely on, because those geos will catch up. We can see what's going to happen based on everything that's happened in English geos over the last 10 years. So you've already got a roadmap in terms of the kind of links you want to build, but generally the threshold is lower. So don't stress too much about metrics, because ultimately you still need links, so you might end up getting a lot more DR 15s and 20s rather than just DR 30s and above. Our average for US clients tends to be DR 55, but it is generally lower for non-English language geos. Now, for the same reason, you'll often find higher fees. There just seems to be much less of a commodified link market in these geos, which is a good thing. It means you don't have every webmaster hammering the same sites over and over again. But because of that, they do seem to treat it much more like your local newspaper, which much more as this is a proper advertisement in this publication. Therefore, it's going to be a minimum of $200-300, something like that. So quite often you might think that actually these are smaller economies are going to be able to get nice cheap links because the SEO market is smaller, but generally we found the opposite, and actually they're much more stringent in terms of link building because they've got more of an old school editorial newsroom style rather than lots of bloggers just going give us a link, here's a link, etc. And for the same reason we run into my absolute bane, which is complicated invoicing. Like I said, Germany seems to be quite behind the times in payments generally, so it's very common. Most of these links, they aren't just going to send you a PayPal link like anyone else does. They will actually send you a proper invoice with an IBAN, so you basically need to log in and arrange a bank transfer for that to happen. So not that difficult, but it's just an extra nuance you need to include. Now, the important thing to keep in mind in this is your geographical link ratio, where basically just because you're launching a site in Germany or serving a site in Germany doesn't mean that all your backlinks have to come from Germany, because as usual, you want to look at the correlation, look at your competitors, and chances are they will have a lot of comms and even English language domains still linking to them. Obviously, it depends on the niche, but generally, I don't really advocate doing 100% of your links in that particular geo, because the top level domain, whether it's .de, any of those, that's just one aspect to look at, and the language on the site is just one aspect. We're also still talking about things like power and traffic. And of course, loads of English language sites still rank really well in these countries. So generally what I recommend is using a relevant number of local domains and local languages to basically provide the right profile that you're aiming for. But then for the power element, you can use more of the international websites. So how can I illustrate this roughly? Basically, you look at your competitors and your work. They've got this number from international sites and then this number from local sites. So what I generally recommend is you'll have your site here and then you'll have a few small local domains. So for argument's sake, let's just say this is website.de for a German site, and we'll repeat that. And that basically becomes our inner ring, our little fortress of local sites that tell Google we want to rank in this location, and we've done ethical white hat link building from relevant websites in that location. But our DR is still really low, and we need to get up to 30 or 40 or something in this particular niche. So that's where we then come in with some powerful international sites like this. So these sites come in and smash the power up. So again, generally, it's great if we can actually get these to be semantically relevant in the language of the site we want to link to. But at the same time, I'd rather have English language links pointing at my foreign website with lots of power rather than no links at all. So healthy mix, so an inner ring of smaller location focused websites, but then to really propel the power up, we'll use some international sites as well. Now you can use a foreign language guest post on an international website. Quite often a lot of these international websites will have location-specific subfolders. You'll notice right now, if I've searched Bain de Glace in France on Google France, we've got Collins Dictionary and Nike at the top. These are both international websites, but they've got French language subfolders within that website. So there's nothing wrong with having a foreign language post on an international website that links to your foreign language website. So when talking about the geographical link profile, I always like to go to whatever niche we're in and look at our competitors, but a more general overview you can get. I like to just search big financial terms, basically. So something like best credit card in Czech, Serbian, Bulgarian, whatever it is, and that just gives you an idea of what Google is doing at the moment. So this is basically a best credit card website in France. It's actually a really good looking affiliate blog. It seems DR of 10, 5,000 traffic. 90% of that traffic is coming from France. So we can see this website is really highly geared, really highly tuned to France. We've got competitors down here that are all heavily French .fr domains as well. But what we do is we go to backlink profile, and then if we come down here, it gives us a breakdown of where those links are coming from. And in terms of just 10% of the links are .fr. We've actually got quite a number from all sorts of different geos as well, Netherlands, Italy. So you really don't need to worry about, if you're building a site in France, you don't have to worry about 100% of your links coming from .fr domains. Now, of course, lots of these .coms will still be French sites, but equally a lot of them won't be. So you can go through with a fine-tooth comb and basically work out what is the exact division between international sites and local sites. Straight away here, just as I'm going through this, I'm actually seeing, I mentioned about Black Hat Tactics still working abroad, and that's right what we have here. Way ranks, king ranks. These are the old article distribution sites where basically you'd write your guest post and instantly spam it across hundreds of websites, and that would enable you to rank. Doesn't work in the US anymore, but this site certainly hasn't been penalised. So as we can see, already a lower threshold overall, but as I just go through all these referring domains, very few of these are really flagging up as specifically French websites. So it depends on the particular niche, what percentage you want to be specifically French or that location. But if we go to top pages, this site is ranking really well for loads of credit card search terms. So perfect example, people really overthink building links in foreign language geos. The fact is the bar is set very low. Loads of these old spammy tactics do work, but I don't recommend doing them. But I'd say stick to this formula. So try to get as many good quality local domains as you can, just to build that local relevance, that sort of local safe fortress, but then top it up with the international sites to provide your power. So with this formula, you should already be beating most of the competition because they're not even doing the international link building. Remember, the standard of SEO in these locations does tend to be lower anyway, but this also means in a few years' time, when these older algorithms do catch up and still filter out the old black hat tactics, you've then got modern, up-to-date strategy. Your backlink profile is in line with future algorithm updates. This is the kind of backlink profile that would work for cutting-edge competitive US websites, and you've applied it to these old foreign language searches, so you should dominate and dominate well into the future when the next update comes along and clears out all that black hat competition as well. Of course, relevance still pays, so on these websites, if they are more English language specific, then ideally you do want that placement, that sort of guest post to be in that language. But worst case scenario, what you can do is basically more of an editorial news style report where you say, this Czech website has just launched reviewing the best credit cards in the Czech Republic. And you could even be sneaky and do a click here to the full URL, which will therefore include the keyword as the anchor text, even though that keyword is a foreign keyword. So that should make it past editors quite happily. As usual, a lot to get your head around. If you don't want to do it yourself, then go to our apply page. We've made a lot of developments and made a lot of headway in our foreign language link building. So apply here, you'll join our waiting list, and if we think you're a good fit, then you'll get priority on that waiting list.